he's a good air
Awesome.
quality guy, but he's just learning equipment. So just doing that at the same time with him so he sees it all, you know. Hi, Bill.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Bill.
Can you hear me all right? I never know.
Yeah.
Rick, you working, man? You got the uniform on and everything. Jeez. Look at this.
Player coach.
It's interesting because I hear some people talk about like a punishment for working on the weekend. I'm like, it's not a punishment for me. I love it. Punishment would be no work on the weekends.
Yeah. No, I'm not against working. My dad was a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
And I like working. I don't mind doing the work, you know, and all, but I'd really rather be in Boise with one of my grandkids or over in Portland, you know.
Oh yeah, you're in Oregon, right? Where are you at there, Eugene?
If you're on X in Oregon, we're right in the center.
Okay.
And so it's about 3 hours to Portland and about 5 hours to Boise from where we're at, you know.
Yeah, man, it's beautiful out there.
No, it's really nice. Yeah, you can see the snow in the mountains, and we don't have like a major freeway going through our town, you know. So
sweet. It's almost like vacation all the time. Jeez.
Yeah, it's you can tell when the tourists are in town, you know, for better or worse. You know, it gets really busy sometimes.
Yeah, in Columbus, Ohio, we don't notice that. Not a lot of tourism out here, you know. So
our soccer team is playing there today against Columbus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Portland Timbers are playing in Columbus today, so Columbus is going to beat them.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Our professional team?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't ever notice. This isn't a big soccer town. We have college football, Ohio State Buckeyes, and that kind of dominates everything. So.
Sure. Yeah, Columbus has a nice soccer field. Anywho.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll wait like 2 more minutes before we get started. You know?
Okay.
Have you always done heating and air conditioning, or do you do plumbing or electrical, or?
We just do HVAC, and yeah, that's always been my main focus. And that's when I was growing up in San Diego. My dad did have a big mechanical shop when I was younger, and by the time I got into it, he'd scaled back to mostly just HVAC. He still did a lot of commercial industrial, but they put me more on residential when I was working for him, and I really enjoy residential.
Yeah, me too.
Commercial.
Yeah, that's what we do. We dabbled in commercial, but we're just really good at residential, and we're pretty slow at commercial. And then we can't, with how slow we are, we can't be competitive enough. So when you're good at something, you can always just do more of that, right? So all right, well, hell, I'll just get started on it because it's recorded. So anyhow, thanks for joining me on Saturday. So let me start by saying that I created this. Hello. What's up, Jason? How you doing? So I'm going to get started here. I created this is for HVAC residential service business. That's what we do. And I came up with this process from multiple failures on jobs, just having meetings discussing what happened and then making changes. And it took, oh my gosh, years to get it. One thing I found is it's only as good as the process is only as good as the people who carry them out. And I've seen even the best processes navigated around by people who just like refuse to do it. So that means, I always have to verify that it's getting done. So I would, they know I'll show up on jobs randomly, just pop in and see what's going on. And then I also like to see if I can fix the process instead of the person when that happens. So if the person leaves, at least I have a better process for the next person, if that makes sense. And a lot of people will probably ask about software. I use our service software, which is ServiceMate, a dynamic form software, JotForm, a great offline capable field software named GoForm, or called GoForms. So I think that you would probably be able to do all this in ServiceTitan. But when I created this, Service Titan was just started, and this is how I made it. So these are all public forms. You guys can have access to them, and then you can feel free to take what you want. So let me dig in and share my screen here, which is somewhere in here. Speaker view. Let's see, share, and this tab. Cool. Everybody see it all right here? You guys see that okay? Good, okay. All right, so like I said, this is gonna focus on after the sale is made. And I'm gonna go through these forms and just kind of go over them, and feel free to ask questions. But this process or this meeting can get really long if we take too deep of a dive in each thing, and I'd like to be able to get through it. So first thing we do, whenever we provide a quote for someone, whenever we give pricing, work that could be done by the installation team, they have to complete a site survey. Even if they don't sell it, they have to go through and do the survey. The survey, let me just have it pull up here. Basically, we go through the customer name, we put in our job number, where's the equipment located, it has drop-down options here, orientation, serial tags, breaker box photos. You get to put in measurements for case coil, so you can add the measurements in for clearances, and it adds up total height. So the idea is, if somebody were to say a month later, yeah, let's go ahead and do that work, we could pull up the survey and order the right equipment and pass that information on to our installation team, so they know what they need to do as far as the scope of work on the job. Check that, and you get water heater info. We do some home warranty work, which requires evaporator coil swap out sometimes. So I have details here to make sure our coil fits exactly, compressors, and then any special notes. When our service techs sell installations, they're able to know exactly what needs to be done, and they can communicate that information to the installation team. So this is our survey. It gets completed. When it's done, it gets automatically uploaded into the job card in our sales software, ServiceMate, so our guys can see it, okay? This customer option sheet is more towards the sales process here. But what it's going to do, let me show you here when it comes up. And the thing, this software is called GoForms. What I really like about it is it's super, super fast and reliable on the iPad, which I found in Ohio, we work in basements. So it's definitely something that's needed. On the web, it gets kind of slow. So these are the inspections we do, justifying prices, club membership stuff. This is how we price out all the options. So this is like a scratch sheet. And just some information that my techs can look through about, or my installation team can check to see how did we bill out the job, was it paid through financing, things like that, okay? But this isn't used too much on the after the sale, okay? So what happens is once that option sheet closes, it creates a list of tasks for the office in a program called Basecamp, which I found to be the best task management software. Again, you all probably can do it in Service Titan, but this is what we're working with. And it comes up with a customized list of what the office needs to do. So it'll say, make sure, get the installation packet ready, which is a packet of all the paperwork we send out. Does it need a permit for the job? Check that. It picks the jurisdiction, schedule the team, and there's probably about like 5 or 6 different things in there that it has the office do in a list assigned to a person with a date they need to complete it by. So, you know, we're almost 2 million and we have 1 person in the office. So we have to be massively efficient for this girl to knock out these tasks. So one of the things that we learned is organize those really well. And even, like I said, even with a shitty person in the office, doesn't matter how organized things are going to be, they're not any good. Okay, so let me dig into, after we do a site survey and the auction sheet's closed, the salesperson who sold the job must order the equipment. So he goes in, opens up this equipment ordering form where he puts in his name, contact info, his name and phone number come up, the client's name, all that, work date, when we need the materials, how we're going to get them, which is pretty nice. Job delivery, put in the address, all this stuff, description of what we're doing. So when I'm doing this, I don't actually pick out models and serials, or sorry, model numbers for the, let me see something here. I got a little bit of an echo. You guys, how do we mute this stuff? Could you guys do me a favor and just mute your stuff? Okay, there we go. Cool. Okay. So we go through, I pick out this information for my, for the vendors. So we order American Standard equipment, and I just say I want a furnace, I want it to be upflow, I want it to be this BTU, this width, and he picks out the model number. That way I don't have to change my systems for model numbers as they change. I just say, here you go, pick this. And once all this is done, it will email a copy of this to Wolf Brothers, who is my American Standard guy. He'll look over this, he'll put the order in, and then he'll send me acknowledgement of exactly what's going to come on that order, and it gets uploaded into my system. So the parts and equipment order form plus the acknowledgement is in the system. Okay? And from there, so that gets uploaded in the job card. From there, it's now passed off to the installation team. They should have everything they know or that they need to know what they're getting into. So the installation team lead will go into ServiceMate, look at the jobs on the schedule for the next day, look at the site survey, the order form, and he'll figure out like, hey, is this something special or is this just a typical installation? Okay. And so again, on that order form I showed y'all, everything's, if it's job site delivery and you put in the address, then Wolf Brothers will job site deliver that equipment to me. Say be there at 8 a.m. sharp. And I'll put that in and Steve will come back to me, the Wolf Brothers guy, and say, yeah, we can get it there at 8. Okay, so that's pretty nice to have that. And if sometimes we bring stuff into the shop if we want to as well. So we have shop delivery. When equipment comes in the shop, our office has tags. They tag each individual piece of equipment with a PO and check it off of the list of the line items that are there, and then put it in a staging area. So our installers come in and look at the job, grab the job packet out of where our job packets are located, and they're by, day of the week. Pull a packet out, look at it, go, this is job 9500, walk over to 9500, and everything's checked off, ready to go, and they can load it into the truck. In May, I'm going to have a dedicated person in the warehouse that's going to do that. For now, our installers did it, which, I mean, if you're trying to get your installers working 70 hours a week to also make sure they have the right equipment, it took a robust process to do it. One of the things that's really cool we have here that you all probably have in your area is we have a courier service called Rush Delivery. If we put in our job number here and we have a request by, person or the technician, anybody can request it. Where is the location, the PO that it's under, whether or not we had to pay for it. We don't have vendor accounts everywhere, some of them are cash, size of car, all this good stuff. You can put in the customer's information here, and within 2 hours, that package will be on their doorstep, guaranteed by Rush. And usually it costs me like 20 to 25 bucks. So if my guys are out on the job, if an installer's out on a job and he's like, oh man, this is damaged or something, first we'll reach out to the vendor to see if they can make it right for free. But if they're busy or what have you, we'll just have Rush pick it up. We do, I mean, even circuit boards, guys, I have Rush delivery, go get a circuit board, bring it to our shop, or drop it off at a customer's site. I don't ever want my service techs to go into the distributor, because some of our distributors are really slow and they make you wait an hour, and I'm not paying for that shit, you know? All right, so that's what we have missing parts, and last resort would be to actually go to the vendor, okay? Now, kind of flying through this, so I'll read some of those questions when I get done with her though. But the warehouse person, which again was my installers, would use this job prep form, which is not just getting the equipment right, it's getting everything that's in the truck right. I feel as a successful installation is when we're able to go to the job, do the work, not ever have to go back to the vendor, Lowe's, Home Depot, come back another day. I don't like that stuff. So we have box trucks with everything we need to do an installation in it. And, you know, we have to, you know, go through and check. Do you have everything in that? The way we've done it is the way we reorder is if you say, I'm out of thumb gum, that creates an order that goes directly to our supplier at the end of the job, at the end of when this is closed. Okay, so I mean, yeah, we just go through. Any other items that need ordered will go there. And if there's any tools that they need, like maybe last job they broke a drill bit or something, they can go, oh, I do need that drill bit. Put it in there and it'll go to me as a task to take a look at it, because we don't have identified where the source for every single tool, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see here. All right, almost done. So I have a lot of new installers. So, you know, I have a couple of really good guys and a couple of guys that came out of school who have no idea really what they're doing. So what I did is I put together this step-by-step form. And when I went to a job and I watched a lead installer do the work and wrote down every step of exactly what they do. So what do they do inside? And then what does the guy do outside? So this is assuming a full installation is happening, okay? And then I share this with my new guys and say, hey guys, so I got 2 guys that are in school now that are starting May 23rd, which is our huge busy season. I said, guys, take this installation training, memorize it. This is what's gonna be happening. And then the nice thing about it is I can go to a job and look and see, did they use floor protection? Did they set up a table in the work area? Did they set up lighting? Did they start charging their batteries? Do they have trash cans? I tell them, guys, the way I want the job site to look is that, like, you could leave anytime, a customer would come downstairs and go, wow, these guys look like they've done this before. They're very well organized. So not just a good job at the end, a good job the whole time. So we'll edit this as we need. And then we have things where we will reuse line sets. So we'll do RX11 flush. Well, here's a video on YouTube of how to do that process. So a new guy will know, here you go. So I try to put a link to a video for these installers every time, because it's interesting. They won't actually think, let me go to YouTube and check this out, but they will come to this sheet, if that makes sense. So here's how you flow with nitrogen. Here's a link to our closing form, how we use the recovery machines. We standardize on tools that we have. So I always use the Apion G5 Twin Recovery. That way this form can apply to everybody. And then, you know, how to use core removal, brazing, pull and vacuum, all that good stuff. So this is a great way for our new guys to have an idea of what we need to do. And then again, for me to pop into a job and go, hey, what's up with that? That's not well lit down here, guys. I'm not paying for you to navigate around in the dark and get hurt, right? So we have a very rigid process of doing this. It took a while, you know, to learn that. Let's see, what else do we got here? And then we have our installation closing form, which I found to be one of the most important things at the end of the job. Is it's always those little things that get the callbacks. Not testing a humidifier, not programming a thermostat. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen that a million times. So this is my quality control process for it. So I'll put in, you know, customer's name, who the salesperson was, who did installation. And the nice thing about this is, well, let this load. It's dynamic. So JotForm will show and remove fields according to what you need to look at. So we say we did a furnace and AC and a thermostat, right? Here's the furnace type we installed. You add a picture of the serial tag in here, a general installation photo. And I tell the guys, this isn't one we actually did, but I tell them, I want you to take a photo of the job that you can be proud of. Something that you can post on the internet and have all your HVAC buddies go, wow, that looks good. So I want to see what their standards are of what this is supposed to look like. So I said, just a straight on photo. Let's see if this is level, all that good stuff, right? These are just the different checks of, you know, to make sure that we, you know, did a mastic on the cabinet, all this good stuff. Whether or not they installed it or it's not applicable, setting fan speed, running a gallon. We have a pump that we run through the condensate, like it's a big 5-gallon bucket. There's a pump and we pump it through to make sure it's not leaking. So how this all came about was either failed inspections or callbacks. I mean, water heater lit. Hell yeah, we've had so many people that have turned gas off and forgot to relight the water heater. So that helps them check it. Setting gas pressure on high stage, low stage. And then for new guy, how do you adjust gas pressure, right? There's a video for that. So we go down, here's how we use, this is how we set up AC. We use a psychrometer. How do you use that? Here's some links to that. The thermostat you installed. These are our stock or our standard stats that we offer. Did you collect money? Notes for the office. Why the customer chose us for the job. So I thought that was pretty cool to ask that question, because sometimes we don't know why we won jobs. Did we win them because we offered better solutions for customers? Did we win it because we were cheapest? God, I hope not. What was it that we did that this customer liked so we can make sure we do more of that? Again, tools needed, it sends us that. This is really good right here. This part is really helpful. So were there any issues with the job that could have been prevented by better training, info in the site survey, what have you? So if you put yes and you said, you could even say something like couldn't fit the furnace, you know, fit furnace down basement stairs, right? So that will send a text to the salesperson who sold the job and to me. And it'll say, issue from job number such and such from installation team. And they'll go, oh, shit, couldn't fit the furnace down the stairs. And then I'll think, maybe we should put that on the site survey so we can check, or maybe it's something that additional training for the salesperson, okay? Well, I always try to figure out if it's something I think is gonna happen over and over again, how can I prevent that from happening? If it's a one-off thing, might not be able to prevent it. I mean, shit happens, right, guys? Finally, what I'm working on building out here is when we select a Nest thermostat, for example, when I submit the form, click submit, it will send up here a video on how to use your Nests to the customer's email address. So one of these things I wanted at the end was, you know, you put in this thermostat for somebody and it's the thing that they're going to interact with and see every day. And then you just leave them with a book or leave them to themselves to figure it out. A lot of times our customers aren't home when we finish an install. And so I was like, man, you know, there's such good videos on YouTube on how to set up Ecobee, Nest, Honeywell. Let's just shoot them a link to that video. And eventually I'd like to make my own videos just so they're more company branded, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I just verbally assaulted you guys for a while, a couple other things. Finally, when that form is closed, it goes back into Basecamp and tells the office, time to register for this for warranty, make sure the payment's been processed, handwrite a thank you card, and enroll them into continuity programs, which is our marketing program. So that's the whole thing, y'all. You know, let me, you know, run through some of these questions and see. No need to share this anymore. Cool. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I do. Can you hear me?
Who do we got? That's Mandy. What's up, Mandy?
It's Mandy. Hey, how's it going?
Oh, we're just living the dream, you know, Saturday.
Awesome. Awesome. I hear you. Thanks for doing the training. It's awesome.
No problem.
My question is this, Bill. After the sales, our process is almost identical to yours.
Cool.
With the exception of the callbacks are killing me. So I was thinking about, and I know it seems maybe a little redundant, but I'm wondering if it's going to help me with callbacks. After the sales process, having an install team leader going out to verify that the salesman didn't miss something in the process.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Mandy, there's a lot of companies that do that here, where they send,
you know, I'm thinking it might just give the salesman the blessing, but also give the buy-in that, okay, well, my install team leader looked at it, so the installer can't come back and say, he doesn't know what he's fucking doing. The salesman's stupid.
So is there confusion on what the salesman told? Or what he promised?
No, but I tend to find that the installer always blames the salesman, and the salesman blames the installer. So it's kind of a back and forth. And we have some training issues. We have a lot of like wiring callbacks, things like that. So I didn't know. And then, so we were going to have the install team leader I love how you said the random spot check. So he's going to start just popping in at any time, but also trying to coordinate it when, or being there when they fire up the system to double check everything and make sure it looks good.
I felt like the real reason for callbacks ended up being because they pencil whipped that installation closing form. They didn't set the gas pressures. They didn't test the humidifier. They just said, yeah, I tested it 15 minutes. And, you know, now what I do is say, I want a photo of the gas pressure from that job where you set it. You know, because I just don't, I mean, you got to trust but verify, right? So you look at the things that are really leading to callbacks, you pick the big bulk of it, which would be wiring issues, and you say, okay, the wiring issue, how do we test for that? And I need you to prove to me that it was done, because the wiring issue certainly doesn't sound like a salesperson's responsibility. And then also, you know how it is, getting your installers to take responsibility for the job and say, I got this, I'm going to do it and do a good job, you know?
Yeah, it's more so, it's not it doesn't really come down to that between the salesman and the installer. It would come down to, oh, well, the salesman didn't see X, Y, Z in the way, or the salesman thought we could do it this way, but we couldn't. We had to go the other way, or do you know what I mean? Oh, we thought we were going to vent it over here, but we actually had to vent it over here because of something.
Do you think it would be worthwhile for a team lead to go there and help a salesperson perform a site survey on the front end?
I don't think on the front. I don't think with conversion on every call. No, I don't think it's worth it. But I do think it might make sense to do it after the job's sold. okay, our install team leader is going to come up and just check everything out.
Oh,
make
I'm
sure
sorry.
good,
That's what
make
I
sure we're
meant.
good to go.
Like once
Yeah.
they bought, so it sounds like your salespeople don't know how to install HVAC, which is typical, right?
Yeah, they do not.
They just can't see that. They can't see where that exhaust needs to go. So that has to be something that's taught. And I think, I mean, we have an isometric drawing of where the exhaust can go outside. And so our technicians who do the sales look at that. And I got a new salesperson starting next week, which I'm really happy about. And he's gonna, one of those things is, I want you to go outside, snap a photo of where the exhaust is supposed to come out. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll leave an X of that blue mark, that blue painter's tape, right on the house. And that way the installers will go out and be like, oh, that's where he said it to go. And, you know, so just like little things like that, I think if they're willing to work together, they'll get it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
I'm also changing my rule in that, which it's going to be, it may come down to a pissing match, but it's either a process problem we have or a people problem. And so for a while, I was paying commission regardless if gross profit margin was met. And I'm over that. So that process is changing, but I am incorporating an efficiency install bonus. So if the job is done within completion, the paperwork's filled out, then I'm going to decide on X amount. It sits in an account for 30 days, and then we pay it out just to hold it for callbacks.
Yeah.
And that way, the installer gets it, and also the salesman gets his commission. I just have to figure out how do I deal with, okay, if a job is green and we hit the margin, and then there's a callback that the installer, it was, you know, a blatant mistake on the installer, he doesn't get his bonus, but then it's kind of tough not paying the salesman that. So I think, you know, after that happens the first 6 times and we have the conversation, you know, okay, if it's a people problem, he either needs to be retrained or he needs to go. Or is it a sales problem because they're always wrong in what, you know, in what they're quoting. So that's how I'm going to try it and see what happens, to try to get buy-in together as them being more of a team. You know, it's easy to push the blame off on somebody else, but if I can get them to work a little bit better together, I think everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to like, I mean, getting to work together is very important. We've had it where our technicians didn't like the installers, and so they wouldn't give them as much information as they needed to, and that's where the site survey came in, and it gets more detailed and more detailed. And I'll say, hey, salesperson, your commission is based on not just closing a deal, but doing a great job. And no site survey, we take a quarter of the commission off. And there's been times where they've gone back and done a site survey just because, hell, that's just how it is. Now, a couple of jobs that we have that when we identify that they're not typical, attic jobs, many multi-split ductless, some things we don't do all day, every day. A lot of times we make it, the salesperson will actually bring out the installers prior to the job start and get everybody on the same page with materials and everything. So like I said, that might be a good idea for you to do when they sell the job, just to get everybody vibing, and then see if your site survey covers everything you need to cover, you know?
Yeah. We have one. It's pretty detailed, but I'm going to compare it to yours and see if there's anything that's different. Yeah.
I'd like to look at, I'm always for getting better. So I feel like the process is never done, but it's a long way from where I started. You know what I mean? Oh, boy.
Exactly.
Long way. Cool. Awesome.
But we're very similar. So that makes me feel good. And pretty much what you have in your software program can be done in ServiceTitan, because I have bits and pieces of it from that. So it's definitely something that can fluctuate between, you know, software to software. So that's great.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Love it. So just remember that Google Docs I shared with you, you can get access to that anytime, and just click the links. It'll pop open the forms, and you can take whatever you want from them. It's no big deal.
Awesome. Where did you share the forms?
I shared it in the Warrior Circle group and in the
Okay.
L10 mastermind group.
Okay, awesome. Great.
Hmm.
Great. Perfect. Who do we have on? Who's on?
We got Matt, Tony, Rick.
Nice.
And a couple of, looks like we got Texie on there. Tex-Mex.
Texas Medley? Tex-Mex?
Tex-Mex.
Awesome.
Nice. So what else you guys have for me? Any other questions? I know I went through a lot of stuff there. That was just, boom.
Bill, I have another question. Sorry.
No problem.
How do you pay your salesmen, your comfort advisors?
Well, remember, I just hired one for the first time. I'm paying him off of a very small weekly draw just to keep his
Yep.
wife happy. She doesn't,
Yep.
really just wouldn't accept a job with after that. Then a reconciling of commissions earned monthly. And if he, and then I have it, I just wrote that offer today, and he can go and pay out commission other month or from the next month if he doesn't make enough to cover his draw. But his draw is only $2,000 a month. So if he doesn't get enough commissions to cover that, we got a huge problem in lead
Right.
conversion. So, but yeah, 100% commission. That's what Disney said. He'd never hire anybody any other way. So I trust him. He knows what he's talking about. How about you? How do you pay your guy?
We're commission, but we're 5% commission with a base salary, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking about changing that. We've struggled because we're 2 years into HVAC, and my HVAC comfort advisor was the first person that I hired, so he was like building the systems and the processes on top of running the sales calls.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't feel
You there?
he Did I lose you?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. So you said he was building the processes and systems. So to give him straight commission with that would have been a little crazy. Building systems for you for free, right?
Yeah. But now we have those all built out, so I feel like we're in a good place to switch it up and make it more commission based.
Yeah, I mean, he should love that.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I mean, some people are just against it. They have to have that base, and that's just not for me. I just, yeah, I mean, if we didn't have these processes, I asked the guy to build them. Heck yeah. In fact, I'm struggling with, should I give him any money for attending like home shows or anything? But I talked to my competition. They don't give their salespeople any money for that. They send them in and make them work the booth, and that's how they get leads. So, till I get a complaint from somebody about it, I'm going to do it like all the other guys do, Cool. Y'all have any other questions for me?
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad we got through in reasonable time. I could talk about processes forever. So if you guys don't have any questions, we'll rock and roll. Hey, feel free to hit me up on Facebook or whatever if you have anything you need help with. And enjoy your weekend. Happy Easter. All right, y'all.
Thank you. You too.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome, Rick. See ya.
See ya.